Welcome to the Akashic Library.
All right, let's get right into it. In our world today, everything's about speed, right? Instant coffee, instant messages, instant connection. So the whole idea of deliberately going slow in a new relationship, well, it can feel a little weird. It kind of goes against everything we're told about just following your heart and diving in.
Right? I mean, this is how most of us see it. When you choose to wait a couple weeks for the next date instead of seeing them tomorrow, or you hold off on introducing them to your friends, it can really look like you're being cold or maybe even playing games. It feels like you're putting the brakes on something that should be natural and spontaneous.
But hang on, let's just challenge that for a second. What if going slow isn't about holding back affection at all? What if it's actually about protecting it? What if taking your time is the secret to building something that, actually lasts?
So let's first tackle this whole myth of moving fast. Modern culture, movies, songs, they all tell us to trust our gut, to follow our feelings, and to just leap. The message is pretty clear. If it feels right, you should go for it, and you should go for it right now.
But here's what's so fascinating. The argument for slowness isn't about bringing back some old-fashioned, prudish set of rules. Not at all. It's actually rooted in a really deep psychological wisdom about what love is and, more importantly, how it really affects us on a primal level.
And that brings us to this really important idea why being cautious is actually super logical. We need to start reframing this idea of slowness. It's not weakness or fear in a bad way. It's a kind of wisdom that comes from understanding just how high the stakes are when it comes to love.
And here's the core truth of it. No matter how much we say we want love, no matter how beautiful it looks from the outside, it's also something that can be deeply, deeply scary. There's a part of us that is just as tempted to run away from it as we are to run towards it. It's a weird paradox, isn't it? And that's why being cautious makes perfect sense. Think about it. When you really open yourself up to someone, when you hope they'll see all of you and still care, you're taking a massive risk. The potential to be completely devastated by that, it's very, very real. So a little caution is just logical self-preservation. The source material for this explainer just nails it with this line. I mean, we've all felt it, that physical pain of heartbreak. It can feel life-threatening. So if the stakes are that high, doesn't it just make all the sense in the world to start with small, modest steps? To just test the waters before you dive headfirst into the deep end?
Okay, so this natural caution, this fear, it tends to show up in two very different, almost opposite ways. And where do these patterns come from? Well, a lot of this stuff, as you can probably guess, it goes way back. Our experiences in childhood can create these deep-seated instincts that dictate whether we tend to run towards love or slam on the brakes.
So let's imagine this. If you grew up in a home where affection was rare or unpredictable, where you basically had to learn to take care of yourself emotionally just to get by, then suddenly, as an adult, having someone offer you consistent kindness and love, that can feel incredibly threatening. It's a language you never learned. And that kind of background often creates one of two classic responses to love. On one side, you have the withholder. This is the person who gets totally overwhelmed by too much affection and just pulls away to feel safe. And on the other side, you have the giver. This is the person who is so anxious about being abandoned that they rush in with this huge display of devotion to try and make themselves indispensable. And the crucial thing to see here, both are coming from a place of deep fear. Let's zoom in on the withholder for a second. If you've spent your life on an emotional diet and then suddenly someone offers you this giant banquet of kindness and attention, your system doesn't know what to do with it. Your first response isn't joy, it's panic. It can even feel like nausea. Your whole system just goes on red alert, and you pull back.
I mean, think about that for a moment. Could you ever actually say that out loud to someone you're just starting to date? Hey, could you please be kind enough to not be too kind to me just yet? Wow, that takes an incredible amount of self-awareness and guts to admit that someone's generosity actually feels like too much.
Now let's look at the other side, the giver. For the person who always moves fast, that rush isn't always about pure, blissful romance. It's often an anxious sprint. Deep down, there's a fear that they aren't really worthy of love. So they use all these grand gestures and speed as a way to lock the person down before they have a chance to change their mind. So if you're someone who tends to move really fast, this is such an important question to ask yourself. Is all that generosity coming from a place of calm, genuine confidence? Or is it coming from a frantic, deep-seated fear that if you slow down for even a second, the other person will see the real you and leave? So, if those are the two extremes, both driven by fear, what's the alternative? Is there another way?
Absolutely. And this is where we find what we can call the path of mature love. It's a beautiful, healthy middle ground.
Mature love is this calm, balanced space. It avoids the panicked rush towards someone, and it avoids the panicked retreat from them. Its essence, the absolute core ingredient, is just patience.
So what does a person who embodies this actually look like? Well, you'll notice a real sense of confidence and calm about them. They have self-possession. They're not easily rattled. They know, deep down, that they can survive being rejected. And because of that, they have this core belief that there's always going to be enough time. There's just no need to hurry.
If you could listen in on their internal monologue, it might sound something like this, a really healthy mix of genuine interest and cool-headed detachment. Yeah, I like them, but I don't really know them yet. I'm definitely attracted to them, but I don't feel any urgent need to act on that attraction right now. Now, for some lucky people, this calm, patient approach is just an instinctive gift they got from a really loving, secure childhood. But here's the best news of all. For the rest of us, this is not some fixed personality trait. It is 100% a skill, and it's a skill that we can consciously choose to learn and practice. Okay, so that's the big question, right? How do we actually do that? How do we start practicing patience and turn slowness into a deliberate, conscious choice instead of a reaction to fear? Well, let's break down some practical steps. All right, here's a little roadmap. First, just acknowledge your pattern. Are you more of a withholder or a giver? Next, be kind to yourself about it. This is hard stuff you're unlearning. Then, start checking in with yourself constantly. How do you really feel? Not how you think you should feel. And then comes the brave part. Try to communicate those feelings honestly. And finally, when it actually feels right, take a thoughtful risk. Make a move, knowing you're strong enough to handle whatever comes next. And really, that's the bottom line here. You can afford to wait. You can afford to explore things slowly. Why? Because you have so much to offer, and because you have the inner strength to survive whatever happens. Whether it ends in a beautiful connection or a gentle rejection, you'll be okay.
So I'll just leave you with this final question to think about. If you could move past the fear, past the rush, and just give yourself the simple gift of time, who could you become in love? And what kind of incredible relationship could you build?
Moving slowly isn't fear, it's clarity. Next, we'll explore how love can hold two opposite truths at once.